Okay, so today is January the 5th. We are actually in the middle of a ice snowstorm, and while we're hunkering down, I am actually going to do some cooking with the oven, well, and the stove, to kind of help keep the house warm. We do have our temperatures kind of set on low. It's like, I think 20 degrees out, but it feels like 10. In here we have our thermostat set about 70. And I've always tried to cook and warm up the house a little bit more when there's cold weather. I've checked my doggies outside. Everybody's wonderful. It is about 45 degrees outside in their kennel, and the ones out in the garage is about 52 degrees outside. Everybody's warm, everybody's happy. Again, a reminder, please remember, take care of your pets inside or outside. Make sure that they are comfortable and protected from the elements. So today I am going to make something called Choco Flan. It's also called the pastel imposible, impossible cake. And it's also called the pastel mágico, magic cake. So I have made this once before, and it's been many, many years since I've made it. And I actually went out and I had bought this really pretty bundt cake mold because I wanted to make it. And I'm gonna go ahead and make it again today. Now, the reason why it's called the impossible cake or the magic cake is because when you make it, there's actually two ways to make it. There's a normal way and there's a cheating way, and I'll tell you both ways. So you're supposed to be able to put a cake mix in the bottom of this, and then the flan on top, and then you cook it. And whenever you're cooking it and you take it out of the oven, the flan actually goes down to the bottom when the cake is actually at the top. So they change places. Some people will kind of cheat and not do that. Some people will actually cook the flan first and then take it out of the oven and then layer the cake on top. Hey, you know, that is what it is. But the reason why the flan and the chocolate cake switch layers is because the flan does get denser where the cake gets airier and like fluffy. So it rises, and then the flan condenses to the bottom. There's also two ways to cook this. You can cook it, which is the way I'm going to do it first. I have water heated up here, and I'm going to put the water into my pan, and I'm going to cook it like a cheesecake, kind of like in a water bath, where it's not in direct heat. And sorry, I'm trying to do a couple things while I'm making the video, but the other way to cook it is to actually put it into a big steamer and just steam it. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I am kind of doing a couple things at once. So you will need to cover it in foil. I do have my oven right now preheating to about 375. Some people will kick it up to 400, and it's supposed to cook between an hour and a half. Make sure you're checking it. So my oven's preheated. I am doing this really quickly. I was going to make the cake from scratch, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to do a whole new video about making cake from scratch. Because that in itself is just an adventure. I don't want to make this video too complicated or too long. So, what I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using just a, and I'll get to this stuff on the stove in a second. I'm going to be using just a regular Devil's Food cake mix. And you just make it with the instructions from the box. There are two kinds that I've seen, Duncan Hine and Betty Crocker. I asked my daughter which one she wanted to use. She said Betty Crocker, but I don't know. Leave in a comment. Are you a Duncan Hines person, a Betty Crocker person? Does it matter? Does it not matter? But we have everything in here already, and we're going to just make it per instructions. A cup of water, a half a cup of vegetable oil, and 3 eggs here. Now I am going to do a little bit different. I'm going to kick this up a notch, and I do have the espresso powder that you can use to make like tiramisu. And since all my kids are older, I don't know if this has caffeine in it or anything. They just kind of like that extra little taste. Just 1 teaspoon. I'm not putting it in the flan. I am putting it in the cake. Now, what I'm doing here on the stove is I'm preheating. Every cooking video I make is like a bloopers video. I mean, it's like something is going on. So, what I'm doing here is I'm preheating the water for my cooking bath. So that way it is hot. That way it does not have to worry about, so you don't have to worry about heating it in the stove. And with the flan, a flan will have like a caramel topping. Some people will use dulce de leche, or there's a syrup, I do believe it's called cojita syrup. That's like a goat's milk caramel syrup that they use, but they use goat's milk to make it. I am actually just going to, I put a 1/4 cup of sugar, and I opened up like 5 caramels. These are their Roll King caramels, and I'm just trying to get this to melt. And I actually am probably going to have to add just a little more sugar to make it a whole 1/2 cup, because this doesn't look like it's going to be enough. I did not want to use a ton of the caramel sauce at the bottom, because I do want to make a caramel sauce that I can pour over it. This is just the caramel sauce that's going to be cooking at the bottom of the mold. Now, if I'm getting away from you, keep watching, because, let's see, I already used a 1/4 of a cup, so I just need to add another 1/4 of a cup. A 1/4 of a cup and a 1/4 of a cup, I do believe, or a 1/2 of a cup. So I'm going to add just a little more sugar there. And what we are going to do is we're going to mix up our cake batter. And like I said, we're just making it from the box in directions, and I just added a little bit of espresso powder. Espresso powder, not a liquid. I did not add the liquid. So when you're doing your bundt cake pan, you want to make sure that it's greased. You can either take and butter it really good, or you can pan it. So while I'm waiting for this caramel to liquefy, I don't want it to burn, so I'm trying to keep an eye on it while I'm doing this. I'm trying to multitask, because this burns and melts really quickly. So yeah, I just want to kind of keep an eye on it, but I'm scared to do something else. All right, so I'm going to grab a glove, and I'm actually going to butter the bundt pan. I just kind of like butter. And after I butter, because you want to get it all into the crevices, you do not want this to stick. So after I butter it, I am also going to spray it just a little bit with the Pam just original spray. Just because I want to make sure that this does not stick to, because this bundt pan has a lot of cracks and crevices. Some bundt pans are just kind of plain, but this one does have, how's my stove? It's okay, not burning. I don't smell anything burning. So I do want to give it just a little bit of a spray, just in case I do miss a spot or a crevice. And I'm gonna move that over there so I have some room. And a lot of people will probably message or say, why do you have tinfoil on your stove? That's been a big comment I have tinfoil on my gas stove because I am a messy cook. I am very, very messy. And I really, really hate scrubbing my stove. That's like the worst chore ever. My stove is about 17 years old. So take it easy on my stove in the comments. Has anybody ever seen the Brave Little Toaster? I mean, come on. She's been doing good, and I don't need to change her for any fancy stove. But yeah, she does look a little bit rough, and it's because I do use her. All right, so still waiting for the caramel to kind of, I've got it on a really low heat. Like I said, I don't want to burn it. And that's the only thing that I'm going to use butter for, is right here. So I'm going to also spray just to make sure I got all the cracks and crevices. All right, so I'm going to put that up and get a drink. Okay, so while I'm doing all this, keeping busy, our flan mixture. Okay, so there are variations of this. My flan mixture has 4 ingredients, okay? And I've already got them in here, but I'm going to show you what they are. So we have evaporated milk, condensed milk, eggs, and vanilla extract. So you're going to use 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of sweet condensed milk, 4 eggs. Some people use 3, but I have used 4. And 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And again, I only have a half a tablespoon, so I did 2 of them. Now, remember when you're making your flan to always wipe off, this one right here I punctured because it's more like a liquid. Wipe off and clean the top of your lid. And also this says shake well, so definitely shake well. This one right here I did clean off, but instead of using a can opener that cuts the can, I use one that actually gives the safe, takes the whole lid off without having to worry about jagged edges and pieces of metal and cut. So make sure that you do have little spatulas, because the condensed milk is kind of like a very thick syrupy kind of, it's very thick. So you want to have a spatula. And after I dump this here, I will pour my condensed milk in here and just kind of get it out, because it'll be stuck all over the place, okay? I will mix that up in a second, but I do want to come over here and check on my caramel. Starting to do a little bit more melting. I will normally have my hood fan on, but since I'm doing a little bit of recording, since I'm doing talking, I have it off. But I'm actually going to get ready to turn it on. I have the cake mix. I have the flan in here. And I'm going to go ahead and beat those. And I'm going to turn on my hood while I'm doing that. So I'll probably end up fast forwarding this part of the video. Okay. And I'm also going to turn off my hot water because it is hot enough. Really quick too, some people will mix this in their mixer. I just have a medium whisk, and I'm just going to whisk it to where the eggs are incorporated really good into the mixture. You don't want to see any egg or any white or any yolk. You want to make sure that it is incorporated really, really good. Okay, that looks good. Check it on my syrup. Syrup still needs to liquefy, needs to get to a higher temperature. I'm gonna come over and do the cake mix real quick. I do also have an extra spatula to scrape out the cake mix. I have a, my grandma gave me this one year. It's a beautiful plate. This is what I'm going to use to present the Choco Flan when it's done. Whenever I demold it, it's going to go on here. I do want it to be kind of, I want it to have this dip, because again, there's going to be like a liquid chocolate or a liquid caramel topping that goes on it. And if this is flat, it will run off. So we're just going to mix up the regular, like I said, my daughter picked out the Betty Crocker. I did buy Duncan Hines too. If you have a preference, let me know which one you prefer, Duncan Hines or Betty Crocker. I know a lot of people are going to probably say also they prefer making theirs from scratch. But the reason I'm actually making this with the box mixture is because if I make this from scratch, I actually want to see how much cake mix I need. Like if I make a big batch of cake mix, I need to know kind of like how much cake mix is actually going to be used for this recipe, because I don't want to make a big batch of at-home cake mix and use too much of it. So this is just the perfect amount for a bundt cake size. Now we're going to incorporate and scrape. And that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do real quick is, while I'm waiting for my caramel to melt, I am going to kind of clean up as I go. See, it's starting to get dark and bubbly, and it's just to the point where it's almost wanting to burn. So you definitely need to watch it, because once it starts getting to that liquid consistency, you want to make sure that you are moving it, that you do not let it burn, that you keep it in motion, okay? And again, I have this at the lowest temperature that I have. Well, the lowest temperature that my stove goes on, but you see it's changing color, getting darker, and it actually smells really good because of the real caramel pieces that I put in there. So instead of actually cleaning up in that, I am going to just stay here and keep stirring this, because it is at the point now where it needs 100% of your attention. It needs to constantly be stirred so it does not burn. And once this is done, this is going to go into the bottom of my mold. And like I said, I'm not making a ton of it. I'm just making enough where it's going to be at the bottom of my mold when my Choco Flan is cooking. And then after my Choco Flan is done, I will make another batch, so that way I can pour it on top. See, it's almost, you see how it's just different right there and right there? And if anybody's looking at my stove while I'm cooking, I just made breakfast a little bit ago, right before I started this video. And yes, of course, I got a little bit of splatter and stuff on my stove, on my aluminum, okay? Just letting you know. My stove is a stove that I use all the time to cook. All right, so we're getting really close to it, going from that chunky looking liquid to more of a clear liquid. See, it's getting just a little bit of bubbles in it. Alright, and again, this does take a little bit of time. Don't rush it. Don't, you know, it like I said, it can burn so easily, so. And I just got me, instead of a big old spoon or anything, I just got me a little bitty spatula here. so that way I have more control of, you know, the stirring. And see, there's still a little bit of chunkies in there. Almost. And I'm going to turn that off for a minute. Okay. So see, we are at a good liquid. Look, it's just about right where I could just dump it and pour it into my bundt mold. Let's see if I can break up these little bitty pieces. See, there's just little bitty pieces on my spatula that so what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to get a knife and just try to scrape that down in there. I want to try to get all that off. And this stuff is hot. So please remember, if you have small kids or pets or anything, you want to keep them away from the kitchen, away from the stove. Remember to use caution for yourself too. All right, so I think we're about where I want it to be. I'm going to take it over here, and if you want to show, I'm just going to kind of pour and go around the bottom. Okay, just around the bottom. And I'm just going to try to get it as even as I can. You hear it popping and snapping, that's hot. So again, use caution. Now I am actually going to take this right over and put some water in here. There we go. All right. So right now I just have my hot water, and what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? You know what? I don't need sugar anymore. I'm going to put that up and get it off the table. I don't need my caramels anymore. We're going to put those in the snack bar. I don't need my spatula anymore. That can go in the sink. And they say, clean as you go. Don't need my measuring cups anymore. Oh, let's see, what else do I not need? I don't need that. And I know people will pause and then go and clean up, and I'm not gonna do that. I am just gonna, so you can actually kind of look in there and kind of do that. I'm just going to put my baking stuff up real quick. Has anybody who's watching ever made a Choco Flan? If you have, how did it turn out? Did you cheat and make the flan first and then add the cake? Or did you actually do it where you put both of them in at the same time? Let me know, let me know. All right, and I'm going to put my eggs up. And there we go. My trash is full. My trash is full. You know what? Throw that away in the trash behind you, baby, please. All right. So, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to come back in here and wash my hands. Also, while I'm doing this, I wanted to do a shout out and say thank you to all of the wonderful people who have taking the time to subscribe, like, leave a comment. Saludos por las personas que me estoy apoyando, las personas que dejan sus comentarios, las personas que dale like, las personas que suscriben. Me estoy muy orgulloso de ustedes. Me estoy acompañando en este canal, de mi canal chiquito. Y sus palabras me mueve, me echa muy feliz mi corazón. Y espero que ustedes continuar por acompañarme echando mis videos. Y well, I just again want to say thank you for being here. It does mean a lot. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is right now I'm going to add the cake mix, and I'm just going to kind of be careful not to let it touch like the sides. Right now that caramel that I had poured into there has kind of solidified a bit. Once it touched the cooler metal, it kind of got hard. So I don't have to worry about that mixing in with the cake mix. So, oh my goodness, just the cake mix by itself smells awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, and again, I am going to do my best to try to make this a clean cake, which means I'm not gonna have like splatters on the side. I'm gonna try to make it look like it's got a good separation from the flan, but as the flan rises, you know, it kind of does its own thing. But right now, I am just going to try to get this as flat as I can. Here we go. Beautiful. Does that look beautiful? Beautiful? Beautiful. Yes. Okay. All right. So now we're going to whisk the flan just a little bit more, and we're also going to take a drink, because remember, you want to hydrate. You want to make sure that you are in this hot kitchen hydrated. All right. So when you pour your flan on top of your cake, you do not want to pour it directly on your cake, because, you know why, Sonia? Because the flan will punch down into your cake. So you want to try to layer it gently, so that way
the gravity will poke a hole in it.
Yeah, so that way the flan is actually floating on the cake. Not, you know how like when you pour something together really fast and hard, it
pours an accident.
Yes. So we're just going to take our time. Oh, see, look at that. It's already going down because of gravity. Gosh darn it. But hey, I'm trying. See that?
Yeah.
But we're going to still keep pouring, because the flan is going to go down. It's going to go down. See? But that's okay. It's okay. It's kind of what it's supposed to do, but see? It's because the cake is so light and fluffy that the flan just goes down. So it kind of did it before cooking, but that's all right. So what we're going to do next is just do that. Give it a little bit of a shake. And so you see how there's like a little bit of flan on the top?
Mm-hmm.
That will still go down when the cake fluffs up and fluffs. So Let me clean that little spot off. And we're gonna cover it with tin foil, all right? It's very important to cover it with tin foil because you do not want the steam and the moisture to come out. When you're cooking this in the stove, especially with the water bath, please, 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 please be very careful. Okay. I do have my bottom rack down at the very bottom. I want to cook it on my bottom rack. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my handy dandy oven mitts. Gosh, how am I supposed to be professional with everything falling in? Jeez. People are going to be like, Katie. All right, so I'm going to open my stove up. No kids, no pets, nothing around to have anybody get hurt. I'm going to pull out my stove a little bit. And I've got my pan here. I am going to go ahead and put about an inch and a half of water. And again, this is kind of like an ugly used pan. So it doesn't matter if it's ugly or used or whatnot because I'm not cooking food in it. I'm just using it for my water bath. All right. So I've got that in there. Why did I use my gloves to, okay. Anyway, make sure you use your gloves. It's hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my Choco Flan and grab my gloves again. I am going to be very careful because you have hot water liquid in there. And I'm just going to pull it away from the back of the stove. Just pull it away a little bit so it's not right there. It's at 375 right now. We are going to timer on, and let's see, minutes. There's 60 minutes and an hour. And then an hour and a half is 60 plus 30, which is 90 minutes. So I don't want to let it go an hour and a half totally without checking it. So let's do 60 minutes. After 60 minutes, we'll come back, check it. If it needs more time, we'll let it go. Okay? So we'll be back in a little bit. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we had our Choco Flan in the oven. Excuse me. So I had it on 375. I checked it after an hour. It still needed a little bit more, so I put it back in. And then I raised the temperature to do 400 for the last 30 minutes. So it was in there for about an hour and a half the whole time. 375 for the first hour, and then popped it up to 400. Okay, so I let it sit, took it out of the water bath, let it sit on the stove for about 30 minutes. I know some people will let it sit overnight in that, but the cake is perfectly done. If you can see the top of it here, there is no sign of any flan. Whenever we poured it, there's like little pools of flan, but there's no sign of any flan. So if you have a toothpick, remember to break it before you throw it in the trash can because you do not want to poke the person who's taking the trash out. All right, so we are going to, and I'm just going to rinse off my hands because I know my hands are clean, but I'm rinsing them off again. We're going to get ready to unmold it. And as you can see on the side, if you want to pan it on there, the cake pulled away from the sides. So the cake, excuse my drink, the cake pulled away from the sides of the pan. So you see that? That is beautiful. That is why I did the butter and the spray, because I want to make sure that this comes out beautifully. So I'm gonna take my little bitty spatula here, and I'm still gonna kind of go around and just make sure, because it's not the flan that's really going to stick. It would be the cake. So, also some people won't try their flan until it's completely cool. They say that if you eat it hot or warm, it will mess up your stomach, that you're supposed to let it cool. So, all right, ready? I heard it come down, but we did get a little sticking, but see, the caramel sauce on the bottom didn't all the way liquefy, which is okay. I mean, hey, maybe it was because I added the pieces of caramel. I did lose a little bit of the flan there. See, there's a piece of flan. That's supposed to go right there. But hey, next time I'll make the caramel sauce without the hard caramel. But besides the caramel sauce, as you see, did melt a bit. The flan is a little bit loose because it is still warm. Now, if I would have let it completely cool, it probably would have firmed up. But again, I did not want it to stick. So, I am going to get out my slicing stuff. So, I am actually going to slice over here where it's kind of ugly. And I mean, it's not ugly, but the flan did come apart a little bit. So, let me show you. There's that piece, but you see the line right here? The flan changed layers with the cake. Okay, so I had to cut the video short just a second ago because I had to run outside. It started hailing really bad, so I had to go put salt down. But when I came back, the slice of cake that I had,
I ate it. It's in my belly.
is gone. So, Sonia said that it was really, really, describe it. How was it?
It was really fluffy and soft. Like, usually I don't eat cake and stuff because it makes my stomach like, bleh, but I really like this.
Okay, so it was fluffy, moist, not dry at all.
I like the
flan on top?
The flan mixed with the cake. It's like if you need a break from the other one, you eat the other one. It's really good. And I'm not a cake person.
Yes, she does not like cake. So when I came back, I was like, where'd the cake go? So,
Yeah, that was all me.
Yeah. So with it cooling down now a bit.
Yeah, I let it cool down for mine too.
It's firmed up. So as you can see, it still has some of that nice caramel sauce on it. But again, I think I screwed up by using real pieces of caramel because they actually did turn hard. So the next time that I do this, it'll just probably be with, I think I seen somebody use just sugar with a little bit of vanilla extract and a touch of water to make like the syrup. But other than that, it turned out fabulous. And I said, probably next time when I make the cake dough or the cake batter, I'm gonna probably use less so that way the cake doesn't rise too much, and maybe add a little more flan. So, but again, it's got a really nice separation on it, and in all honesty, that is real good. What it is missing is, again, just a little bit of that topping, a little bit more, but as it is by itself. Especially with the devil's food cake, it just makes it really, really good, and rich, and fluffy, and moist. Next time I will probably try it with the other, what is it, Duncan Hines that I have. And again, I'll probably use less cake batter, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
And then a little more flan. So, but other than that, Choco Flan, Pastel Imposible, Impossible Cake, Pastel Mexico. It turned out wonderful, and I couldn't be happier with it. So, thanks for watching, and yep, yum, 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 yum. See you in the next video. Bye.